Hello everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the creative director here at Bubblegum Cartoons, and today we're doing part 2 of your unpopular animation opinions. I asked you guys over on my Instagram, Lily Animation and Bubblegum Cartoons, your unpopular animation opinions about TV, movies, anything really, and you guys had some really interesting responses, so I am going to respond to those. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to be doing the 6 fan art challenge, so I'm going to be doing that in the background with the iPad Pro, the 2nd generation pencil, and Procreate. So let's dive right into it. Huge disclaimer, this obviously are just my opinions and it has no reflection or shows the views of any of the companies that I work for, outside of Bubblegum Cartoons, of course. And these are also your opinions, and I want to thank you guys so much for having this fun, really interesting conversation, and thank you so much if you guys were commenting on those stories on my Instagram account. The first unpopular opinion on our list is Trolls World Tour was nowhere near as good as the original, and I only saw part of the first Trolls movie, and overall I just had zero interest in the Trolls franchise. I had troll dolls when I was a kid. I love the little jewel belly buttons, but I don't really care for those sorts of movies. They just don't really appeal to me. Keep in mind, I'm a 26-year-old animator, so I'm not necessarily going to be the audience for it. However, I just found no enjoyment in it. That's interesting. I haven't heard much about the sequel either, so yeah, I'm sorry you didn't like the sequel as much as the original. The second one is Phineas and Ferb is overrated. I know this one is scheduled a lot on the Disney Channel, and I have seen a couple episodes of Phineas and Ferb, and something I really admire is I believe nearly every episode has original music, and I think that's pretty cool. One of my favorite scenes from Phineas and Ferb was when Perry the Platypus went on the train. I think they were in Canada, and they went on a train and with Doofenshmirtz, and they had this interaction that was just so funny. So I think the show definitely has its really fun, really clever moments. I just remember back when I watched it, it was incredibly formulaic, where it was to the point where I saw my 3rd episode, I'm yeah, okay, I could write one pretty easily. It's step 1, 2, 3, 4, and they have a lot of the quotes, so I can totally see where you're I want something new and different, but they have a formula and it totally works. It's clever, it's fun, and I think it has a broad appeal. It has lots of boy and girl characters that you can relate to, so yeah, interesting. The next unpopular opinion is really just Atlantis with a heart next to it, and yes, I totally agree. I love Disney's Atlantis. It was amazing. It was definitely geared toward 12-year-old boys, but I really enjoyed this movie. I loved the blocky style. I loved that it was hand animated with some CGI elements. It was really kind of dark and gruesome, and I don't know if you guys noticed, I really love dark and gruesome, mixed in with the kids stuff. So so many people died in that movie. You don't really realize until you're an adult. You rewatch it, you're oh my gosh, everyone without a name died. I love Princess Kita. I love the people of Atlantis. I love Milo Thatch. He's this kind of hero that you don't get to see too often. He's not particularly buff or confident, but he's really clever, and he has a great love for the culture of Atlantis. And I love all the side characters are amazing, and they're all just breaking down these stereotypes, and I love that they're really strong characters, and certainly an overlooked movie in my opinion, and it's one that I grew up watching a lot. So yeah, I really like Atlantis. It's nowhere near my favorite in terms of princessy movies are always my top. So yeah, totally agree with that opinion. Atlantis does get a little heart. The next one is I will never get over that How to Train Your Dragon 2 lost to the Oscars to Big Hero 6. It had to be said. Okay, so the thing you have to know about all those kinds of Academy Awards and stuff, I learned this back in college, that apparently when the judges do get all those little DVDs in the mail to vote on which one they want to pick as their favorite, they're only required to watch the first minute of it, so you have to keep that in mind. A lot of people just vote for the studio that they have a certain affinity to, so it's not necessarily personal that, because a lot of times I feel foreign movies completely deserve it, and that's just my opinion too, and then sometimes it just doesn't get it. So I feel I liked How to Train Your Dragon 2. How to Train Your Dragon and the Kung Fu Panda series are my two favorite properties from DreamWorks. But I did enjoy Big Hero 6 as well. I especially loved the art of Big Hero 6. They actually have a really, really good TV show too. If you guys like Teen Titans back in the day, it's a pretty good, like, kind of feeling of Teen Titans. Not so much in sense of the scale of danger or even like the Teen Titans Tower feel, where like they're all sitting around eating pizza, playing video games, and like and they all have like special rooms, so it's not like that close-knit of a feeling. But you know, it's a group of superheroes taking down bad guys every week, and they're all kind of like Japanese culture-ish inspired. Like sometimes it's a little too on the nose, but yeah, it's a pretty good show. Anyway, that was a tangent about Big Hero 6, the series, but I loved the art of Big Hero 6. Scott Watanabe was a huge inspiration for me. In college, he did a lot of the backgrounds and stuff, and his work is just absolutely amazing. So I think both were great. Neither were really like ever my favorite film of all time. The next unpopular opinion is Western audiences are ready for mature dramatic animation. The industry needs to catch up, and I agree. I believe that especially children, they want to be challenged. They want to like have a daring, fun story. They want like characters who are well-rounded, and they don't want to be spoken down to. And I feel like there's a place for other shows that are just silly. And I had to learn this like in college. I'm like, I hate this show. This show is so stupid. Or, you know, that show is so stupid. I don't get it. And my friends were just like, you know, some shows don't have to be good quality or just even look good. Some of them are just like turn your brain off shows. And I never really appreciated the fact that there are some turn your brain off shows. So I think there's room for that. I don't think it should be the majority of shows. However, yeah, I think when I comes to mind is Gravity Falls in terms of you know, twisting mysteries and really mature stories and you know, big dramatic scale, and I do enjoy those things, and I think my opinion is that I concur and I agree. The next one is I prefer Sailor Moon manga over the anime. So yes, I did read both the manga and see the anime. I did not finish Sailor Moon Crystal, which is the reboot that happened a couple years ago, just because for the sheer ugliness of it, it did improve. My friend Stephanie swears it improved, but I just couldn't get over the weird baby foreheads. And I'm like, if you're gonna redo Sailor Moon, you gotta do my girl right. Like, you can't just make her face look like that. My favorite thing is just going through the internet and finding weird Sailor Moon Crystal faces. Yes, so I did enjoy the manga, and Sailor Moon Crystal does follow the manga much closer than the 90s anime. However, I was a 90s gal, and the 90s anime will always have a very special place in my heart. When I was a kid, we had like Saturday morning cartoons, but other than that, I never really got to watch Sailor Moon. My friend had Sailor Moon in the Black Dream Hole, which is like my favorite movie of all time, and it's the only perspective I really had on Sailor Moon. And I just loved the English dub back in the 90s. It was completely ridiculous, but I loved how every single Sailor Scout had a very, very clear tone of voice, and you could definitely tell, you know, even just like if the character was talking off screen, you knew exactly which Sailor Scout was talking. Whereas with Crystal, in my opinion, they all sound exactly just like Pretty Girl. So I kind of like the weird, obnoxious, like very specific like vernacular that all the girls had in the original one. So yeah, very interesting. Thank you for your opinion. And our last unpopular opinion is I can't get over the sidekick in Seoul. She is so annoying. So if you guys don't know who they're talking about, there's been a couple trailers out for Pixar's Soul, and yeah, Tina Fey plays this spirit booger, and she's just kind of like a half-lidded, kind of like whatever kind of character. I saw this really interesting comment about the Soul trailers, and the opinion was like the first trailer didn't tell us enough to get us hooked, and the second one told us too much that kind of ruined the story. And I personally just don't really have any interest in this movie. So far from what I've seen, there's no particular pull for me. There's nothing that you know, makes me be like, ooh, tell me more, this is interesting. interesting. But that's just my personal opinion. I mentioned before that my personal taste is The Incredibles and Ratatouille. Those are my favorite like Pixar type movies. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the design of Seoul or the story or anything like that, so I can understand how you find her quite annoying. It's a mystery, but you know, don't judge a movie before you see it. Keep an open mind when you go to see it. Maybe you'll find that Tina Fey Booger is, you know, dealing with stuff or something like that, and it'll be really fun and epic and stuff like that, so you might really enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for your unpopular opinions. If you guys have any more unpopular opinions, please leave them down below. I'd be super curious to hear about them, and of course, be cool, be nice to each other when you're talking about your opinions, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, and we're all here to have fun. So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Shout out, of course, to our patrons on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for being here, especially right now. I super duper appreciate you guys. If you guys join the matcha latte level, you will have a hand-drawn sketch sent to you every single month to your inbox just for you. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Alrighty, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you also enjoyed my 6 fan arts. Which one is your favorite? I think I might like Chihiro the best. I don't know. It's a lot. So yeah, until next time, guys, stay inspired.